We are about to get a brand new Overwatch 2 roadmap that could include information about PvE. Hello everybody and welcome to the channel. We're also going to cover in this video a potential rework to Moira and also some clues towards what could be a new support hero. How is Genji performing in the game at the moment? Also, we've got changes to Mei's primary fire. Is Widowmaker overpowered? A Sombra rework which is going to make her more lethal and deadly. What is the current state of the Roadhog rework? And lots of other stuff in this video. Now, big shout out to Karq and Eva Langwin. They actually interviewed Alec Dawson. Now, if you remember from my video I put out the other day, Blizzard just sort of teased saying, oh yeah, there's going to be a Q&A stream, and nobody knew what this was about. But it turns out it was with those content creators. Of course, extremely good content creators, both of them are. And yeah, they got bits of information out of Alec Dawson. So what I'm going to do is give you the sort of TLDR at the top of this video, so get ready for this. Jared Noose, of course, the new executive producer of Overwatch 2, he said this on Twitter. Now, this was last week, so this was from the 22nd of April. He says, I'll have an update on the roadmap next week. Slightly delayed from Jared soon, but not by much, and only because it's part of a larger, cooler communication plan. So this is him saying there's going to be a roadmap update, and it's probably going to be this week if you're watching the video the day it went live, or maybe next week as the sort of long shot. Now, what we're hoping for here is the inclusion of PvE content. You know, it's all well and good having roadmaps that show us what's coming out during a season of Overwatch, which we generally do get at the start of each season. But a more longer-term plan would be, I think, a lot more interesting for fans at this moment in time. Because, of course, the big thing, like literally, it's looming above Overwatch as this massive spectre is PvE. Because arguably, that is what the sequel is about. Because all we're playing at the moment is just a more refined Overwatch 1 PvP experience. But yeah, so there's probably going to be some sort of a lead up here. This might be the first sort of murmurs leading towards a November BlizzCon time announcement of new PvE content, or the way the PvE is going to be handled, or what the PvE even looks like. You guys know every time I talk about Overwatch PvE, I always go, oh yeah, well, I was one of the people, the first people outside of Blizzard to even play PvE. But yeah, I played it in 2019. You know, I played it with XQC. That tells you how long ago this was. You know, XQC was still playing Overwatch, and it was not very good. That was a problem with it. So then I guess they went back to the drawing board, and yeah, so we did get a little bit of a look at PvE from last year though, when they sort of went through the whole sort of Overwatch 2 launch stuff, and they gave us some little new bits of gameplay. It wasn't very in-depth though, so we're still waiting to see what this looks like. Yeah, I just want PvE info. I mean, at this point in time, yeah, it's cool, the PvP stuff, but what's going on with PvE, guys? Come on, let us know. So yeah, roadmap update is coming fairly soon. So what we're going to focus on now is information that came to light following the Q&A that was held, of course, by Eva Langwin and Karq with Alec Dawson. And these are just going to kind of be ad-libbed responses from Alec Dawson. I will link in the video description below if you guys want to go and check out the live streams over on both of their channels. But essentially, he was asked about Moira's damage orb rework, and they actually, he had this idea of making it reveal enemies when it hit them. But then Alec did say that kind of doesn't really fit Moira, so it may be something we keep for a future hero. So there is maybe a world where we get a hero that's all based around providing vision, providing line of sight, or maybe altering the way your team view the battlefield in the future, because that would be a support category that isn't really serviced in Overwatch at the moment. So pretty cool. He was also asked about Genji, and he said, yeah, Genji's not underpowered at the moment, even though a lot of people seem to think he is. But what they do sometimes is make changes to heroes to just make them feel better. So that might be something which comes to Genji in the future, a change which may end up being a buff, but also makes him feel better. So yeah, kind of an interesting little tidbit there on the way they view balanced heroes. Alec was also asked about the power level of Widowmaker and how she, well, pretty much dominates any lobby that she's part of. Now, you have to remember with Widow, and also remember with the people involved in this Q&A, they're very high-level players. So a top 500 Widow will just kill everybody, right? But this is almost the case for every other rank as well. If you get a good Widow in, like, Plat or even, like, Diamond or something, they just destroy the lobby. You have to really try and deal with the Widow, and if you can't, you just lose the game. But the issue becomes when the maps are so skewed in a way that make Widow, you can't touch her. There are 2 maps like this currently in the game. There's Junkertown First Point's been in the game for years and years and years. Widow is just incredibly powerful on it. And the other one is Circuit Royale. She is just massively powerful on Circuit Royale for First Point because the sight lines are so massive. It's crazy. And she's actually pretty good on the second point as well. She only really falls away a bit on the final point. So, are they going to nerf Widow? Well, he said no. We're not going to nerf Widow, but we are looking at the ways that snipers work in Overwatch, and one way they can actually combat this feeling of being dominated by them. So this would be Hanzo and Widow, but specifically focused on Widow, would be adding more cover to the game. And now they've done this with the launch of Overwatch 2. Remember Kings Row and remember Gibraltar, just as a few examples. They've got additional bits of cover on because we lost one tank player moving from 6 to 5v5. However, there are still maps like Circuit Royale has got to be like the worst offender where the sight line is so massive. And the funny thing is, this was made for Overwatch 2, this map, so you'd think they would have realized this, but whatever. Widow is so powerful on those maps. But what Alec is saying is, yeah, there won't be changes to Widow, but we might add more cover to make her less oppressive, which is probably a good change, let's be honest. And just to add a little bit to Moira's sort of kit rework ideas, he was actually asked if they're going to add any more utility to Moira, and Alec just kind of says, well, yeah, we're always testing stuff, we're always looking at new stuff, we'd really like to do that, everything's rosy and everything's great, and yeah, but it's not at the top of our list. That's the way the Blizzard devs always talk when they're just basically saying no. We're not doing that, so I wouldn't really expect any added utility coming to Moira anytime soon. Mei's primary fire is also getting changed. Now, we know about this, or we've known about this for a while, and we've got a little bit more additional information here. So what Alex says is you won't be freezing people entirely. So when you're attacking another hero with your primary fire, you won't totally freeze them like she did before back in Overwatch 1. But instead, it will sort of build up to a moment that you can sort of exploit. Now, this could be a lot of different things. I think it's probably going to be some sort of damage multiplier. So if you're hitting them with the primary fire, then suddenly they become vulnerable, and then if you hit them with an alternate fire, you'll probably do more damage to them and kill them. That might be what they go for here with Mei, because obviously they don't want to totally freeze people, because that's absolutely garbage. But at the moment, Mei's primary fire just feels terrible. Like, you just spam alternate fire. So maybe they're going to try and look at weaving in some sort of way of, I'm going to say freezing a target here, but I don't actually mean freezing the target. I mean freezing them as applying a debuff, which increases the damage of her alternate fire, but doesn't actually freeze the target, right? Freeze might just be a different classification of debuff, right? Or she sort of, you know, she cools them down. I don't know how to say this, but you won't be froze by Mei, but she's going to do something to you, which is going to then, with her primary fire, which is going to lead to a bigger moment, which is probably going to be, now you're exposed, let's say, to more alternate fire damage from Mei. I'll be very surprised if this is something which other heroes can benefit from, and I would imagine it's just a Mei specific little combo she can do, because it won't be like Mei freezes people, then everyone does additional damage to them, because that would be stupid. Maybe it will be, who knows. What about this Sombra rework then? Oh dear, oh dear. So this apparently is a long way away. And what they're looking to do is make her just do more damage, make her more lethal, right? And to make her more lethal, they're probably going to make her less mobile. So I don't know how this is going to play with Sombra players. It's probably going to be really difficult, because if they do things to translocate her where you're maybe using it less often, or maybe it's got a shorter range or something like that, I don't know, then there might be an issue. Of course, there was a... what was this? It was a game mode, wasn't it? What? Maybe I'm losing my mind here, but I'm pretty sure there was something recently where Sombra, you could explode the translocator. Maybe I'm just totally losing my mind here. But throwing the translocator at enemies as if it was a grenade, I think I've just lost my mind here. This might even be a workshop mode I'm talking about. I don't know. But yeah, the problem with Sombra is she's got Invis, right? And if the character's built around Invis, the current version of Invis, it's very powerful, right? And it leads to one kind of playstyle with the hero. You're not constantly involved in fights. You're looking to pick a fight, and then you pick the fight and try and do maximum damage, and then translocate away, heal, drop your translocator back down again, and then off you go again. And that's kind of what she does. You know, we've had loads of different variations of Sombra, being a hack bot, just making tanks' lives absolutely miserable, to having the massive damage she could do when she hacked a target and then hit them with a primary fire, which was essentially the first version of her in Overwatch 2. Yeah, she's a really complicated hero to get right, and I am absolutely not qualified to talk about her, because I think Sombra might be my least played hero. I mean, Sombra and Genji are my least played heroes, which is... I just never really liked Genji. So Roadhog's tank rework is still being worked on, but what Alex says is they're not really sure how they want to do this at the moment, and they're deciding how transformative they want the rework to be. Will he be a selfish hero, or will he protect his team? That's the issue they've got with Roadhog, and he even states that specifically. Now, Roadhog is a tank that just basically plays for himself, and this has been the case for Roadhog pretty much ever since he was added, well, ever since he was a hero. There was a moment in time where there was a experimental mode where Roadhog actually healed people around him when he took his puff, I think. Like when he vaped, he had this massive vape cloud. It basically like he was doing a massive fart. And if you were in it, you got healed. I think that's what it was. And maybe they didn't add the visual. It was just like a circle underneath him. It was kind of like a mobile biotic field from Soldier 76 in a way. Now, do they want to go down that route? Do they want to make him more of a team-orientated tank where he's sort of healing his team, protecting his team, or just really lean into Roadhog looking after himself, which is sort of the current version we've got? But the problem with Roadhog at the moment is he's not lethal enough to play. So, and rightfully so, he shouldn't be. They got rid of his one-shot combo, or, well, I suppose technically three-shot combo. But often you could hook someone and hit them with primary fire and pretty much kill them without going for the melee on top of that as well. That obviously got nerfed, and that means that Roadhog in his current state doesn't do enough damage, doesn't tank for his team, so he's the worst tank in the game. He's just a big bloated DPS at the moment, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do with him. Definitely does need a rework though. Now, both of the players in the Q&A, both CarQ and Eva, they are both support players, I believe, and they obviously asked about Lifeweaver's hitbox because it is absolutely massive. And Alec just says, yeah, you know, a lot of work. Yeah, we're looking at it. Yeah, you know, we might make a change. Yeah, you know, yeah, but it maybe not in the immediate future. So basically, no, that's another answer of Blizzard, no. Yeah, but he does have a really big hitbox for a support, doesn't he? He's massive. It's the fact you can shoot the big lotus on his back as well, or like shoot the petals of the flower. I don't think it's a lotus, is it, on his back? I don't know what it is. But if you can shoot the petals, which is makes his hitbox massive. And also, for a support, he is massive. He's like really big. He's massive. This character is just massive. So there you go, everybody. That is a look at the Q&A, which was held, and a little bit of added extra spice from the executive producer in terms of what we might see in the roadmap. So all we're looking for at the moment is hopefully a roadmap will come out soon, and we'll be able to look at that and see what they're aiming for, and hopefully it contains PvE content. And we've got maybe some balance... Well, there is balance changes coming this week, but we already know what they are. Those are to Lifeweaver with his control rework coming in, and the buffs to him. But beyond that, we're just sort of gearing up, I think, for the mid-season patch again now. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right, everybody, thank you for listening and watching the video. I've been Stylosa. If you really enjoyed it, then do like the video. Leave a comment below, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.